Dear Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for every heartbeat and every breath. Please forgive me for the times that I fall. And thank you that you are Waymaker, Miracle Worker, Promise Keeper, Light in the darkness.
Says, time and the power of right action. Time is not just a measure of hours and days. It is a spiritual flow we all live in. But what if time is not as fixed as we think? What if the way we use our time determines how fast or slow we experience the unfolding of our lives? Many people wait, they hesitate, they second guess their spirit's leading, afraid to do what is right, afraid to make a move. But every delay in righteousness slows the movement of their life. In the kingdom of God, time responds to obedience. When we act without hesitation, especially when we know something is right, good, or aligned with purpose, we collapse delays. Realities begin to shift faster. The blessings we thought would take years can come into view quickly. Time bends to boldness, to obedience, to faith without fear. This is not just motivation, it is spiritual law. Those who wait on the sidelines, analyzing, fearing, or doubting, stretch their journey. For those who say yes to truth and act quickly in alignment with it, move through time with greater speed and clarity. They begin to live in a divine rhythm. So today, don't waste time. Don't hesitate to do what you know is right. Every step you take in truth shifts time in your favor. You won't just be managing time, you'll be commanding it in the spirit, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Ephesians 5:16.
Thank you, Love Speaks. Appreciate you. And yeah, so what I've noticed as well in this reality is exactly that. So your obedience and discipline, when you act on the thing that you know is true, if you do it, if you fight against your mind to do the things that you know are right, you will basically create the reality that that is meant for you, that God has designed for you. You can, I remember for years I used to waste time just and I think God was showing me, Father was showing me through the experience of what happens when you waste your time, when you don't, when you're wasting it on unbeneficial things. Like I used to, it's like the same day was happening in the whole year and nothing would change. But the more, what I noticed, that as soon as I started to make the right decisions and the best use of my time, you can see that you shift the reality around you. Like things just move quickly into play. Like you gain more wisdom, more understanding, more clarity of what actions to take, and then you kind of like program yourself to act accordingly, to be in flow of God's time. And each day you're given, each day you have the opportunity how to best use your time, and you can see in this reality from from experience, from learning from other us's basically in the world, of how people use use their time. Like, it's quite clear to see if someone doesn't use their time the right way, what the reality that they create or the things that they focus on. So if you focus on the right things and you take the right action and you're obedient to pushing against your mind, really, because your mind will tell you, oh, don't do that tomorrow. It's like, oh, you're not good enough, don't do this, it's not for you. And these are all your thoughts and fears that come in, and you just have to push through and to really make use of time. And the more that you do the correct thing, the more you focus on the right things, the more it corrects your thought pattern. And yes, I've learnt from my own experiences how quickly time shifts as a spiritual principle, to the actions that you take in this world. And so all the things that are meant for you, you can have them straight away. It just depends on us how quickly we learn, how quickly we put the knowledge of and the experience of our life into actual action. Because nothing, things are created from a thought, first of all. So it's the focus, the things that we think we all know, really. Like, we might lack direction, but we have to rely on God for direction. And then when you get the opportunities that come, you take them. You just put your one foot in front of the other. And the more you consistently do that, the easier it becomes. Like, for example, when you go to the gym and it's really difficult at first and you don't want to do it, but then the more you do it, the more you get used to it, it benefits you. So everything's like a reflection, I believe, of that. So our time is like our enemy and our best friend in a way, because if you use it wisely, then you can create things that are really beneficial in your life and the people around you. You can be an example to others. So, and there's so much. The world is trying to scatter our minds into understanding, learning things which really aren't for us, like through the internet, through socially in our lives in the world, like through people. I know, like, I've got friends and people that are still doing the same thing that they did 20-30 years ago, and they don't realize they're like on the same loop, and they're doing the same thing over and over. So it's like we're being misdirected to misuse our time on frivolous things that mean nothing. If you go out spending all your money, for example, partying each day or whatever it is, this is just an example. It doesn't bring anything back. You might get, temporary fun, happiness, but in the long run, it doesn't really serve you. Like, Father's got the best plan for you individually. Like, we've all got our specific, I think, our purpose of why we come here, and the quicker that we act on it and take action each day. And it's an uncomfortable thing to doing the right thing for ourselves. A lot of the time we're trying to fix everyone else because it's easier. It's easier to give advice to others and tell people, oh, you need to eat this or you need to do that, or for yourself. But it's only you really know what you need to do in a day. Like, nobody sees what you're doing. Like, only God sees what you're doing privately. So if you focus on the things that are true, you know are right, without delay, because we all know what's bad for us and what's good for us, but our mind will tell us that the bad things for us are good for us, and then the good things for us, oh, that can wait, or we can do that another time. So you have to train yourself to not attach yourself to your mind, your thoughts that are telling you the opposite thing. And so that's basically what it's basically saying. And we can move with more clarity and speed if we make use of our time. And that's what I've learned. Like, I've physically seen monumental change in like all of us here taking the right action. We've all aware of this as well. We've all wasted time. We've all done things excessively that weren't good for us. I can speak from experience as well. I used to, take drugs excessively to escape doing the right thing, or to, I did it because I was just lacking love, but I did it to escape reality, really. And the things that I knew I needed to do, I just didn't have the encouragement to do it. So I feel like we just need to all help and encourage each other to fulfill our purpose here in this world. And if we help each other to do that, then we can create like a domino effect, I feel, in the world, to create change, all around us. And you create change through your example, through your action. So I was with my family today, and I can see that as a result of how I react and controlling my thoughts, emotions, like the more I change, or the more we all change, the more our environment changes. So we really want to set the example to our friends, our families, the people we interact with, how to best make use of our time, and to create things together, because we're like co-creators in this world. We can delay. There's like God's timing for when we do things. Like we can delay the things that are really meant for us, that are more amazing than we can imagine. Like there's things that I never thought that I'd be able to do, and because I started to be more disciplined, take certain actions, I could see that there was like an instant reaction in the atmosphere and in my life to create something, like to create things that I didn't think was possible. It's a really amazing thing. But you can see in the world how people are distracted by things that are not important, like the internet. Like the internet and other people's perceptions can't tell you who you really are. They're just perceptions from other people that don't really understand. And then they're giving you false perceptions, and then you're, feeding your subconscious into that. So, what I've learned, and what I'm always learning, is to let the God in you, right? Let Him teach you, let Him guide you, to be able to, to find your purpose. Because when we come into this world, we don't know what we're doing, and then it's like it's an awakening in our spirit when we've at different stages. For me, I just had enough of living the way that I was living, and I just fought with every ounce of breath to try to create change, even though I didn't think it was possible. I just thought, I'm not going to give up now. I'm just going to keep going. And I think when you build that resilience and determination, you start to see things change really quickly, and it's a spiritual law, as Gideon said. So if you act on that daily and you don't delay, then everything works out for your benefit, as long as you take the right action, because your actions is what creates either your inaction or your action, or bad actions create, I suppose, different realities. And it's only we're our worst enemy, so we're the only ones stopping us from doing the things that we're here to do and achieve. And so if anyone else like to share their experiences about time, observations that they've made, changes in your life about different is anyone else come to this realization in the group, and they'd like to express the changes that they've had in their life through being more disciplined, more deep, and more conscious of how they use their time? And that goes to anyone here.
Yeah. So hold on a second. So So basically, in the book of Ecclesiastes 3, it describes everything has a use. There's a time for everything. Time to kill, steal, um, die, be born, plant, harvest, um, lose, keep, cast away, save, be silent or to speak. Time to love and time to hate. Time for war, time of peace. And this is what I think Apostle Gideon explained to us, which is how to use time, how to perceive time, and how to get on the bus, so to speak, of time itself, and not be left at the bus stop at time. And another verse I like to go to when I was studying this, or actually coming to understanding of what it means, my teacher told me to go to Genesis 16. And in Genesis 16, it says this. I'll read it for a little bit at the top. It says, "Now Sarah, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, but she had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. So she said to Abram, 'The Lord has kept me from having children. Go sleep with my slave. Perhaps I can build a family through her.' Abram agreed to what Sarah said. So after Abram had been living in Canaan 10 years, Sarah, his wife, took her Egyptian slave Hagar and gave her to her husband to be his wife. He slept with Hagar, and she conceived. When she knew she was pregnant, she began to despise her mistress. Then Sarah said to Abram, 'You are responsible for the wrong I am suffering. I put my slave in your arms, and now that she knows she is pregnant, she despises me. May the Lord judge between you and me.' 'Your slave is in your hands,' Abram said. 'Do with her whatever you think best.' Then Sarah mistreated Hagar, so she fled from her. Then an angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. It was the spring that is beside the road to Shur. And he said, 'Hagar, slave of Sarah, where have you come from, and where are you going?'" That's a proverb. Proverb 14, chapter 14, verse 15. "I'm running away from my mistress Sarah," she answered. Then the angel of the Lord told her, "Go back to your mistress and submit to her." The angel added, "I will increase your descendants so that much they do will be too numerous to count." The angel of the Lord also said to her, "You are now pregnant, you will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery." So she gave the name to the Lord who spoke to her, "You are the God who sees me." For she said, "I have now seen the one who sees me." That is why the well is called Ber Lahia Roy. It is still here between Kodesh and Berian. So then we go into the next chapter, which is chapter 18. I'm going to skip 17 because it's not really important. But in 18, Abram receives a visit from the Lord at a great tree called Mamre. And so he says this. What do you say? He says, let me get you something to eat. Verse 5. So you can be refreshed and then go on your way, now that you have come to your servant. Very well, they answered. Do as you say. So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah. Quick, he said, get 3 seahs of the finest flour and knead it and bake some bread. Then he ran to the herd, selected a choice calf, and prepared it. He then brought some curd and some milk and prepared those. While they ate, he stood near them under a tree. Where's your wife, Sarah? The Lord asked. There in the tent, he said. Then one of them said, I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son. Now Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already very old. Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, "After I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure?" Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Will I really have a child now that I am old?' Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son." Sarah was so afraid, so she lied and said, "I did not laugh." But he said, "Yes, you did. You did laugh." And then after, skip chapter 9 and 20. 19 and 20. And we get to the birth. It says, "Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah, as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the very time God had promised him. Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah bore him. While his son Isaac was 8 years old, Abraham circumcised him as God commanded. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah said, 'God has brought me laughter. Everyone who hears about this will laugh with me.' And she added, 'Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age.'" So for me, following what Ecclesiastes 3 says and what Gideon has written to us today, the Lord God gives you instructions. And when you follow his instructions, you are free from obstacle or obstruction. But if you doubt his instructions, then you are not free. And your doubt actually causes you obstruction, causes you to lose your time. Because it says that God came back at the appointed time that he said, and everything came to pass because Abraham followed the instructions. But if he didn't follow the instructions and done what his wife thought, then it wouldn't have happened. So from my experience, following what God says to do at the time he says to do it, speed things up for you, and even grants you freedom from obstacles. It's just the way it is. And when you wait, when you when you procrastinate, and when you tell yourself that you shouldn't do these things, or you have to have certain perfect things happen to do what God tells you to do, then more obstacles come to your doorstep. More things start to go amiss, start to go awry, and then you find yourself having a harder time doing what God asked. When if you would have acted in the beginning, it would have came to pass. There's another story from a book I like where God is in a car with his man, and God tells his man, he says, "Hey, get out the car right now." And the man says, "Why, God? Why?" And God says, "Do you want to obey or not?" So the guy jumps out the car, and the car stops. And then God gets out the car too. And then once God gets out the car explodes. Boom. And the guy says, "Wow, why did the car explode? It was fine." And God said, "It exploded because it was meant to explode. And if you didn't follow my instructions, you would have exploded with me."